Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of my adventure on the MV Sagamore. We just left Bremerhaven, Germany, and we are on our way back to the States. We are at full throttle and hopefully expect to be there in just under 2 weeks. And I just got off duty at midnight, and I looked outside, and it's actually kind of light out for being midnight, but I'm not one to talk because I've been on a ship before where it was literally full daylight out at like 3 a.m. But let's take a look outside. It may be a little blurry and a little dark, but I thought we could look out the porthole or the window and see our ship moving through the water. You can see the water by the light of the moon, and looks like we got a bit of a full moon tonight. But it looks kind of bright out, or at least when I was out there, it was brighter. But yeah, we're moving quite along and should hopefully be in port in under 2 weeks back in the States. So without further ado, how about we do this week's lottery ticket? Let's have a seat here. I'll adjust the camera. And let's have a look. All right, we got our Get Rich or Die Scratching coin and our next ticket, number 27. And it would be great if this was another winner. A back-to-back winner, or as Mr. Broads puts it, bite-to-bite or bike-to-bike winner. And it is totally possible. In fact, I once bought 4 $30 tickets of the same game in the same random gas station that I stopped in one day, one right after the other, and believe it or not, all 4 of them were winners. And if I remember correctly, it was $680 in wins. It was there was a $30 prize, a $50 prize, a $100 prize, and to top it all off, a $500 prize of those 4 prizes. So it's definitely possible we can get another win here, back to back. So let's see what we can do. Let's start with our bonuses. Okay, we got nothing on the bonuses. Maybe one of these tickets will be a bonus winner. That would be nice on this trip. So let's get our winning numbers going. Let's see what we can do. We have a 9, so let's see. Another 9 number. Not quite there. 22, we have a 32 and a 12. Oh, and a 23 and a 32. 1. Well, what do you know? Back-to-back winners. We got 36 and 36. Let's take a look. How exciting. And we got another $50 winner. Look at that. $50. Let's see if we can double it now. I believe the next tier is $100. So let's see. We got 29. Getting all these 9s, but not the single number. 13, well, that's unlucky. We have 11 and 12. Okay, so we have 61, 62, and the number is 63, and 64. See how these numbers sometimes tease you, but you know what? We got a winner, so it's all good. We're just having fun at this point. Let's see if we can win a little more. 68. 21, and then we had 12, so just the wrong order of numbers. Another 9er number. The 8, just one short of 9. Bumpin' Uglies. Still don't know why that's called that, but I'll go with it. 30? No. Well, we got 10 more numbers. Ooh, that would have been a nice prize. 27, nope. 40? Not quite. 48. Oh, we have 49 and 38. 37. Well, it was between 36 and 38. But we already got a winner with 36, so we're good. 44. Nope. Alright, last row. Let's see. 34. Nope. 31. Nope. 26. Nope. Lucky number 7, but not lucky enough. Alright, of course, we got to do the clutch corner, so let's check it out. What is the prize? $100. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a 150 tier. Oh wait, no, that's a 400. Excuse me, almost got scratched off there. But no, there's no 450, so this is probably a bust there. But yeah, 14. But hey, $50, I'll take it, which means 3 tickets, $100, 1 back. We are $10 profit right now. Chick-ching. All right, fantastic. All right, so we're doing pretty good. So let's go ahead and have a discussion here. Let's see if I can do this editing thing again. Okay, looks like we're ready to go. So we just got a new chief on board, and I've sailed with this chief before, and he's a really good guy, very professional and very respectful. So I think this will be a good trip. But I wish that was what I could say on all my trips that I've ever taken on all my ships throughout my career. I have run across my fair share of firsts and chiefs that were awesome guys, but also not so awesome. They were kind of jerks. And I ran across this a lot when I was sailing with MSC, which is Military Sea Lift Command, before I joined IMO. And I remember having the absolute best luck and pleasure of sailing on what they called at the time the holy grail of MSC ships, which is the ship out over in Italy where I sailed on for 2 years and was able to meet a lot of wonderful people to work with and become friends with, and I miss them all very dearly. And the chief engineer was amazing over there. He was even described as a national treasure, and I wholeheartedly agree. He was very patient and very intelligent and always very willing to help and teach all his engineers, and he was a great leader. And I hope I can meet up with him again someday and catch up with him, because he has great conversational skills. And this ship, we sailed all over Europe, and I was able to go ashore and get some great traveling in, and got some great pictures and some wonderful memories. So I was very lucky and blessed to be able to have that experience. And I feel bad for other engineers at MSC, because yes, you do have the counterpart. There was what some would consider the unholy grail of MSC ships, and I heard that it was a difficult ship to run. It had a lot of engineers that didn't get along well. There was a lot of drama. I don't want to say anything too crazy or too critical of them, but yeah, you would have had a difficult time getting going on that ship. And unfortunately, it had a lot of turnaround with its crew, simply because people were miserable there and they didn't get along, they didn't work well together. And that's what happens when you can't manage your people well. You lose your crew, and I guess that happens in every business and industry out there. But I also have my chief stories. In fact, I remember on one ship, I was in the main control of the engine room, and I was finishing up some paperwork or some documents on the computer, and the chief engineer comes in, and he says, "Where's the magnifying glass? I need the magnifying glass so I can read some data off the nameplate, so I can order some spares or parts or whatever." So I was like, "Okay, it should be right here in the drawer of the desk." And I look in there, and it's gone. I don't know where it is. And chief engineer is starting to get heated and frustrated. And he's like, "I need this magnifying glass right now. I want to place this order. Where's the magnifying glass? Go find it." So, of course, in a panic, because I never want to disappoint my superiors, I start looking for this magnifying glass. And when I couldn't find it, I'm frantically running around main control, and I even go to the machine shop, and I can't find one. And, the chief's getting more upset by the minute. His anger is doubling by the minute, much like a fire. And I'm trying to offer solutions to him, like, "Oh, I could go read the nameplate for you, or we can maybe take a picture of it with the camera and we can zoom in on it and read the nameplate data off of that." And he's like, "No, I want the magnifying glass. I want to do this right now." So I'm getting chewed out, and eventually he kind of just gives up and says, "Stop, enough." And he storms to the door, to the engine room out of main control. And before he steps into the engine room out of main control, he turns to me and says, "It was in my pocket." And then he leaves. So how about that, right? So yeah, and then I have an even better or a better story to one up that one. I was actually on the MV Integrity, which is this ship right here, if you can see it on my hat, which is now scrapped, by the way. This was actually an unmanned engine room ship. So the third, second, and first assistant engineers would have duty on a nightly rotation, and it was my night to do the duty. And before we leave the engine room for the night, we are to secure certain doors, especially to the purifier room, to the fuel pump room, and to main control, and to shut ventilation doors to our machine shop and to like our slop sink or our diesel sink, where we have exposed fuel that we would use for cleaning. We are to secure all these for fire boundaries and fire containment. Unfortunately, if a fire did break out, we can contain the space. And we open them back up in the morning. But when I came down that morning after duty, the chief was there, and the chief asked me, why didn't I shut everything that night? And I know I did, and I told the chief, I definitely closed all those doors and secured everything, but he said when he came down, it was all open. And I was trying to think, how could that be? And then I remembered that the first engineer also comes down in the morning with the chief, and then the chief's like, no, because I was down here before him, and all the doors were open. So in front of everybody at muster, he was, laying it hard on me and chewing me out, and I'm just sitting there totally confused, because if I had done something wrong, I would totally own up to it. But eventually muster was dismissed, and we all went to do our rounds and work assignments. And then I later am told this part from the first, that he came in after we had muster, and the chief, getting a little bit of clarity, decided to ask the first, just in case, and was like, did you get down here this morning? And the first was like, yeah, I came down just before you did, and I opened up all the doors. And all the chief engineer said was, oops. Yep. Didn't even get an apology from him. And the first and I, when he told me this story, we just had a great laugh, and we told it to everybody in the mess deck later, and everybody just felt so sorry for me. But at the same time, when I think about it, as a third assistant engineer, it's more or less my job to be yelled at or to be blamed when something goes wrong in the engine room. I mean, if I'm not getting yelled at, then maybe I'm not doing my job right. But that's just the nature of the business, and I'm used to it at this point. I have a lot of great experience in my career, and I can handle most situations, and I have been in some pretty ridiculous, difficult situations before. So, I'm prepared for it and well seasoned, I believe. But if you made mistakes on one ship that I was on, one of the first assistant engineers told me, uh, if you make mistake on a ship and do a terrible job, you actually get punished by staying on the ship longer. And I thought that's a little bit contradictive, but at the same time, this is a terrible ship, and I don't want to stick around. So I made sure to do my best work and to not upset anybody. So when my relief came, I could actually leave. Um, but I one of the things that just fascinates me about this job is the sea, and just sailing on it and working on it and living on it. It's just quite an experience, and I hope I'm able to share it with you to a certain extent. But uh, another thing about it is the mysteriousness of it, because believe it or not, there's actually so very little we truly know about the ocean. And it just reminds me of one saying that I heard in school when I was in college. I was a freshman, and we were all brought into an auditorium and getting ready to do some firefighting training. And one of the firefighters said, if you're ever out at sea, you never need to worry about land, because no matter wherever you are in the world on the oceans, you are never no more than 7 miles from land wherever at sea. And I was like, what? And then, of course, he follows it up by saying, how deep is the ocean? There you go. It is said that the deepest part of the ocean that is known is 7 miles deep, and that is known as the Mariana Trench, which I am actually kind of fascinated with, because there's so much knowledge and stuff that we know and don't know about it. And it has been said that if you threw a rock into the Mariana Trench, it would take over an hour for it to sink to the bottom, which I think is amazing and ridiculous. And, light can only penetrate the water so deep, I think only like maybe 1,300 feet, I think. And there are fish that swim down there, and at some of the deepest depths, there's still life down there that exists, although sparse and rare. And they're very scary looking, like especially the anglerfish. I've seen pictures of it, and that's like the stuff of nightmares. And actually, they could only survive at those pressures. Just some of those fish, if they were brought to higher or closer to the surface, they would actually die because of the pressure change, which I think is also fascinating. And I remember watching a YouTube video of somebody who actually did make a trip all the way down to the Mariana Trench, something that probably less than 10 people on this planet have done. And he described the bottom as like moon-like the surface of the moon, which I thought was just incredible. I wish I could do something like that, but at the same time, as much as I'd want to go to the bottom of the ocean, I'd probably want to go to the moon. But those are both unlikely scenarios. But anyway, so we're heading back to the States. We haven't hit the Atlantic yet, but it will get pretty rough and crazy out there. In fact, I can feel the ship kind of rumbling and shaking and bouncing up and down in the water. But it gets really rocky, especially in the winter. It's been my experience that in the winter, especially north of Europe, especially around Germany, the weather conditions are really bad, especially during the winter. When I was on my ship with MSC for 2 years, whenever we sailed back from Germany, it was always in the winter time, and the weather was so bad, and we always had like a complement of over 100 people on board, and a lot of them got really seasick. Like I was solid as a rock because I got my sea legs when I was in school, but a lot of these people, they don't sail as often, and then when they get on board and hit rough weather like that, then it's just bad. They don't feel well. They lose their lunch, and the illness just spreads throughout the ship. So you just got to be careful, because obviously the sea is selective, slow at recognition of effort and aptitude, but fast in sinking the unfit. Love these quotes from school. So let's see. Um, I don't know where to. Oh, I know I wanted to stream video games, play some video games. One of my favorite video games from actually a Sega Genesis, I had mentioned it before, is called Landstalker, and it has a lot of great elements that I think make a great game. And I think for any great game that wants to be, have a great story, it needs to have an element of betrayal. And I've noticed this with a lot of games. You got to have some kind of goal or motivation in mind when playing these games, and I think that's one of the big things, because especially in Landstalker, you are betrayed actually several times throughout the game, and you actually have to go through the game and get back at these enemies who are on a race against you to find a hidden treasure on an island. And I think that's one of the best elements to make a really great game. I've also noticed that with some other games, such as a PlayStation game called Bully, which was a lot of fun and a bit of a fantasy game for me, because well, I don't want to get into that, but yeah, it motivates you to want to play the game more and see the game more. Another element that I just thought of, that a Landstalker does, is that when it starts you off of the game, it drops you off in the area right away that you will return to much later in the game. So you kind of get like a preview of what's to come, and it intrigues you because it's like, what is going to happen later in the game? Why is this area so significant? And it just made me want to play the game more and more and more to get back to that spot and access areas that I couldn't, because it was at the start of the game. I didn't have the skills or the keys to go further in this one area, and then it sends me off to another area where where it is essentially the start of the game, and then you work your way, build your health, your strength, your weapons, your inventory, and then eventually get back to this one place that you saw at the very beginning of the game, and now you have all these ways to progress, and now you can see what this game just showed you as a preview. And it's kind of like a reward for playing through the game. You get to see the ending, you get to see how it all unfolds, how it all comes together, and I really love that about games. And I think if more games kind of follow that direction, they show you a preview of what's to come and have elements of betrayal or more or less adventure or motivation or goal in mind, then you enjoy it more. And I've always been about the story of a game. It never really has to be all about graphics, although that's important. So is the music, the gameplay, the control. All that has, important elements. But I've actually played games that have a tremendous story, but have like almost none of that. They have no music. They have no graphics. They have just text and some easy click button controls that I played on the computer, and it turned out to be a fantastic story. I absolutely loved it, and it just proves that you don't need graphics or music or all this advanced stuff to make a great game and have a great story. As long as you have a great story, you can make a great game. So I think I'll go ahead and finish up here, but I just wanted to tell this one story. Again, back on the ship where I was over in Italy for 2 years, I worked with another third assistant engineer who was a really great guy. He was this massive, gigantic, muscular African-American man. Very nice name. His name was Cordry, but we called him CJ. And he was very healthy man. He worked out every day. He watched everything that he ate, and he was really he looked kind of menacing looking. I mean, for his size, he was kind of intimidating, and he would often give you like menacing looks, but he would never hurt a fly. If you were able to stand up to his his mean face, then he would just break down laughing. Like he couldn't hold a straight face for long. And he was a really great guy. I enjoyed working with him. And unfortunately, a few years ago, I had learned that he developed cancer. And I was just in total shock and devastation because this man was incredible. He was very healthy. He worked out every day, watched what he ate. He was at the peak of his health, and then all of a sudden, he developed cancer, and he had passed away. He was only 42, I believe, and again, to this day, I'm still kind of in shock. Just how young he was, and just how healthy he was, and for this to happen to him. So, but I remember working with him, and he would always have like a catchphrase that he would tell everybody that he meets, or if he's relieving the watch, or if I'm relieving him for watch, he would always say, "I'll see you at the crossroads." And I thought that was just a funny catchphrase that he had. So I tip my hat to him, and 8 bells for CJ. Your watch is over, and I personally thank you for all that you've done on the ship, for me, for the ship, and for the country. I appreciate your service, and rest in peace. And for everyone here watching me today, I'll see you at the crossroads. All right, great. Well, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you later.